Inspiration. Just over a year ago, he had an operation to remove a brain tumour, and astonishingly, it was his second tumour in 13 months. But he fought his way back to health and has a fabulous new album out, and he joins me now. Russell Watson! Oh, I'm so excited about this. Good
hello.
morning, my love.
It's
Thank
lovely
you for
to
being
see you
here.
again.
It is great to see you looking so well. Are you feeling good?
I'm feeling all right now. It was a tough start to the year because it started with 25 treatments of radiotherapy, January, February. But I feel like I'm getting through the lethargy of all that now, and I'm starting to feel much better.
It doesn't come much tougher, my love. But your story is just extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, you go from being a factory worker in Salford, singing in working men's clubs, to selling 5 million records worldwide, singing for the Pope, the Beckhams, not at the same time, I don't think. Everybody has royalty, governments, they've all heard you, my love. I mean, did you ever dream in a million years that this would have ever happened to you?
No, I didn't. And I mean, you know, growing up in Salford, I didn't have any great aspirations for anything, really. If anything, I would have liked to have played football for a living, but unfortunately I was rubbish, so that was never going to happen.
Can't imagine you being rubbish at anything, my love. But actually, football played a big part in a way, didn't it? Because your big break came at Old Trafford, is that right?
1999, which was the year that Manchester United won the treble.
Oh, right.
And that was where I sang at Old Trafford for the very last game of the season. I'd been invited there by Martin Edwards, and for me it was probably, well, it was the highlight of my career, certainly up till then. I remember going on and I sang Nessun Dorma on the pitch. I was announced as Russell Watson, the Salford tenor, the lad from Salford, here today to sing Nessun Dorma. And you could hear a few rumblings in the background. Nessun Dorma, Salford, get out of it. I went on and started singing. There's that kind of pre-match buzz that you get before the kick-off. The whole place is buzzing and chit-chatting, and you can smell the hot dogs and the meat and potato pies and the Bovril coming from the stands.
Oh, the glamour of it all.
I'm
it's fabulous.
stood in the middle of the pitch, just about to commence Puccini. And you could feel, as I started singing the aria, the whole place started to drop. Until eventually, it's kind of halfway through the aria where the choral section kicks in.
Yes.
And you could almost hear a pin drop, hit the top note, and it felt, for me, as a Manchester United fan, I'd always wanted to play at my beloved Old Trafford football, and there I was singing, which was the closest I was ever going to get to being on the pitch.
Yes.
Felt like I'd stuck the ball on the edge of the 18-yard area and curled it in the top corner. And as I hit the top note, the last Vincero, the top B, the place just... the place just lifted. I came off the pitch, my dad was at the side with a, you know, kind of looking at me with a little tear in his eyes. I said, "You all right, Daddy? You're having a bit of a moment there?" He went, "Oh, it's just windy today, lad."
Oh, I know just what you mean. There's something about football pitches, though.
Yeah, passion.
Because I sing often at Wembley, you know, and it's a bit the same as you know, the lad from Salford. Doncaster Diva at Wembley, come on, you know. And there is just something incredible about that arena, isn't there? And what it does to the inspiration it gives you.
That's why the two mould together very well, because, you know, opera generates passion. It's the sort of thing that can make the hairs go up on the back of you. And likewise with football, it generates a lot of passion. That's why I think the two blend together incredibly well.
But it hasn't always been quite as exciting as that for you, has it? Because you've had some rough times with all this fabulousness as well. Because a couple of years ago you did find, and this from a singer is I can't tell you how I empathise, you found a lump in your throat, didn't you? What happened after that?
I was diagnosed with a vocal polyp. At that time, it was probably... I mean, I'd never had any illness before in my life. I think the worst thing that had happened to me was I'd cut my finger and gone to hospital for a bandage. So up until that point, nothing had happened. I remember being told about that I had this lump on my vocal cord and remember thinking, oh, my God, you know, this could be the end of my career. I spoke to the specialist and I said, what could happen if it goes wrong? And he says, well, you might lose your register, your top register. It could be the bottom, it could be the top. We just can't give you any promises. It's not like operating on a builder or somebody who doesn't use the voice for a living. And worst fears confirmed. It all kind of came crumbling down around me. But that was to be superseded.
I was going to say, as awful as that is, and as a singer I can really empathise, but it got worse, didn't it? Well,
it did, much worse. And there's a stark difference between having your career under threat and then having your life under threat.
So what?
And that was the next
Just tell
thing.
us what actually happened that threatened your life.
I was diagnosed with a brain tumour. Actually, a pituitary adenoma is the scientific word for it.
Pituitary gland, then?
Yes. It was wrapped round it, and it was also so big it was pushing my optic nerve into the front of my, the frontal lobe of my brain.
Right.
So it was very painful and very, very unpleasant. But when I got the news of that really was when...
And was that your first tumour or your second one?
The first tumour.
That was the first one. And was the second tumour in the same place?
Well, I think the second tumour was probably first tumour not completely
quite right.
removed.
And that was
Yeah.
while you were recording in America, is that right?
It
You got
was.
the news. Goodness me. What got you through that? What did you draw on?
Well, at times like that, you draw on faith.
Yeah.
And at times like that, I think I drew on the need within myself to want to keep carrying on, so that I could basically see my kids grow up.
Oh.
So it was a very tough time, but I have to say that from it, I've taken positives, and I now feel that in my life and career, I'm at a point where hopefully I'm ready to move on from that. Put that down as one of life experiences. There's never a day goes by when I'm not aware or in touch with my mortality.
I know you have a strong sense of the spirituality inherent within music and in life, but how did your illness affect your faith?
Well, that was a time where I needed to draw on my faith and needed to draw on kind of the inspiration that I guess I used to perform, for instance, the sacred arias, the Ave Marias. If you've
Yes.
not got that faith and you've not got that inspiration within inside you, I don't think you can deliver that type of material. So I very much needed to draw on my faith. And I have become, I think, very much so, certainly since all the health scares, I think I've been drawn more towards faith and yeah,
Since I've known you, I must admit, you did start out as the brash, cocky lad, and you've got, if you don't mind me saying, but you have become much more centred, much more spiritual in the years I've known you, I must admit.
I think,
especially since you've become a father as well.
I think so, and I think that's an interesting observation that you've made there, because that's probably how I would have observed myself. I remember when I first started in the industry, and I look back at early footage of myself and think, crikey, I just wouldn't say that now, and I wouldn't act like that.
We all
now.
do that, love, don't worry.
But yeah, I think that's about, having been given the chance as well to mature as a human being and an artist within this industry. And it's a rare thing these days. It's, artists come and go so quickly
Yes.
now. I've been very fortunate to have been around for 10 years in the industry and had a chance to develop and
Yes.
grow as a human being and as an artist.
And you have this fantastic new album out. Now, is this wonderful album, is this, People Get Ready, a new departure for you? Are you actually moving away from classical music now? Have you hung up your Nessun Dorma tonsils forever?
No, I don't think I'll ever be allowed to hang up the Nessun Dorma tonsils. I don't think the fans would let me. They'd go crazy. But it's... For me, this is kind of like, it's almost like, dare I say it, full circle. This is the material that I started singing, 15, 20 years ago
In the
in the
clubs?
North West Working Men's Clubs.
Right.
So it is kind of going full circle for me. But we're talking about, faith, and we're talking about inspiration. And this, for me, was a record that I felt was right at this time and very much indicative of where I am at this moment in time. And songs like People Get Ready and Heaven Help Us All are very much spiritual songs, and I drew on that energy to kind of deliver the record that I've got now.
And this particular song that you've chosen to sing for us, Try a Little Tenderness.
Yes.
What's special about this song for you?
Well, it's a tune that I grew up listening to, and of course I think everybody, particularly of my age group, remembers the movie The Commitments.
Yes.
Which was a great film.
Yes,
That's what I
brilliant.
think one of the first times that I'd heard it, apart obviously the Otis Redding track as well. But I just think it's a great tune, it's vibrant, and also it gives me the opportunity to show off different sides of my voice, because it starts off nice and mellow and low and then rocks hard at the end.
That's the boy I know, that's the Russell I know. Well,